So
we come to an examination of the equilibrium rule to a particular situation. If an object is placed on a surface, a hard surface, then the object, by common observation, we see does not move. Now, we take the example of the same famous mysterious box placed on an horizontal surface in such a way that it does not move. Since it does not move, there is no change in its state of motion. So therefore, the equilibrium rule must apply. We do not know what those forces are, or let us say that we do not know what those forces are, but the forces, whatever they are, we can clearly say that they cancel each other out and the net force is zero. Now let us approach it from the point of trying to see what those forces are. So the question is, name the forces acting on the object. So what is the number one reply? Yes, there is a question somebody was trying to ask.
yeah, so
Yeah, please ask.
yeah, so then how can it be sigma F if gravity is acting on it? Like if
Yeah,
gravity is making it stay on the ground, shouldn't it be floating in space if there was sigma F?
correct. So you can say that one force that we are aware of, since all of looking at as far as this class is concerned, is in the framework of the earth. Okay, so on earth or the surface of the earth, we know that there is a force of gravity that is always acting on it. The other force,
So then
like many people have mentioned, there is seemingly no other force that is acting on it that we are aware of. Of course, some have also replied that they are aware of what that force is. But let us just look at gravity for the moment. In what direction is gravity acting?
Downwards.
down.
Downwards, right? So the force of gravity is always acting downwards, straight towards the center of the earth. That is we have to just take that axiomatically for the time being. You take it as a God-given truth. So I introduce another term that we use in this particular class of physics. We say God-given truth.
So how can be sigma F be zero?
Yes, sir.
Gravity is
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. That is the whole point of the exercise. Okay, why God-given truth is because right now we can't explore that particular question. Like, why does the gravity always point towards the center of the earth? What is gravity? So that's a big question. We will come to that a little bit later. Actually, to be exact, in the second term when we study gravity. But for the time being, we assume that the force is acting towards the center of the earth. Do we know how much that force is?
Our weight.
Yeah, it is equal to your weight. And do you know how to calculate your weight?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Like it's mass into gravity.
Okay, so some of you, again, this is something that we have not examined in detail, but some of you might have realized, or some of you might know already, that your weight is what is usually written as m times g. That is the mass of your body in kilograms multiplied by gravitational constant. Okay, so this g, the gravitational constant, has an approximate value of 10 newtons per kilogram. Okay, this is again a kind of a God-given truth at this point of time. I will explain why it is so, how we arrived at this particular number. But every kilogram on the surface of the earth is pulled towards the earth with a force that is equal to approximately 9.8 newtons per kilogram. This is actually the more accurate value, but for the sake of simplicity, we kind of take it to be 10 because it's just a 0.2 addition, which could be quite large. It's a 0.2 addition. One moment, let me finish my point and then you can ask your question. So therefore, we take it for class physics, we take that value to be about 10 newtons per kilogram. Okay, so if you want to find out your weight, then you multiply your mass with 10 newtons per kilogram. So you multiply it by a factor of 10. Let me clarify one more small thing and then I'll take your question. So my mass, I just weighed myself yesterday. It's 74 kilogram. Okay. So my weight, that means the force that I apply in the downward direction when I stand on the surface of Earth is 74 times approximately 10 newtons. So that is 740 newtons. So if I stand on something, okay, and just for effect, assume that I am standing on your hand. So I ask you to put your hand out and I stand on top of it, ouch. Then I will be applying a downward force of 740 newtons on your hand, which might of course be painful. So if you have any questions about this, you ask. Of course, we are still discussing. What we intend to discuss is why is it that sigma f is equal to 0 when there is only one force acting on it. We will come to that in a moment. So yes, whoever has a question to ask, just tell me your name so I can note it down. Then you can ask in that sequence, first of all. Who wants to ask?
Yeah. Yajnesh.
Yaju, okay.
Akriti.
Sorry?
Akriti.
Akriti.
Prakriti, sir.
Prakriti.
Basically, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I just couldn't hear it.
Ruhani.
It's okay.
Next.
Hani.
Hani.
Ruhani.
Anybody else?
Hani, sir.
Sir, Ruhani. Like, say the whole
Ruhani.
thing. You just
Sir,
say Hani,
Ruhan with an
Hani.
I.
That's not my name.
Very funny. Okay.
Sir, Hia.
Here. Anybody else? Okay. Yaju, shoot.
Yeah. So I have two
One
questions.
moment. Sorry, Yaju. Sorry to interrupt you. Can everybody please now send me your mass and your weight, approximate weight, as an answer in the chat section. All the rest of you. Yaju, ask.
Yeah. So I have two questions. The first one is, shouldn't be MEG because gravity differs from planet to planet.
That is why I made a statement earlier that all aspects of whatever we are talking about are based on Earth, the planet Earth. So of course it will be different if we are on Moon or if we are on, God forbid, Venus or something like that. But we are talking about the Earth. So our reference frame is always the Earth. Okay, is that clear? Second question.
Yeah. So then Earth's weight will be calculated by the sun's gravity, no?
Yeah, we don't talk in, that is one reason why we don't talk in terms of the weight of the Earth, we talk in terms of the mass of the Earth. The Earth by itself cannot have weight with reference to its own gravity. So yes, you are right.
Falling.
Earth will have a weight with reference to some other object's gravity. It can be to the sun, for example, but it can also be to other things.
Yeah, sir. Should I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
So in this, you're multiplying your mass, which is in kgs, and newtons, which is a totally different unit. So then your answer should be 740 newtons by kg, right? Because you can't then convert it into 1 unit.
No. Because it is 10 newtons per kilogram. So the total weight that you apply will of course be in newtons. See, that is a nice question. However, so I want to introduce something else, which is something called dimensional analysis. Okay, so I don't know where should I write. Should I? Okay, this question is done, right? No, wait, that is not done. Okay. You are asking why is the unit of weight Newton? Shouldn't it be Newton per kilogram, right?
Yeah.
So look at it like this. Weight is equal to mass times G. Okay, mass is in kilograms and gravitation constant is Newton per kilogram. So Newton per kilogram. So kg and kg
Sir, I can't
cancel.
see that
So
part.
what will be left? Newton. So that is why weight is measured in Newton. This is called as dimensional analysis. This tells you
Can you please repeat?
whether the unit that you are getting is correct or not. Is that clear now?
I can't see that.
So
I
what's
can't see
dimension
that part of the board.
Which part of the board? That's all there is. I can see the whole thing. I shift it
Basically,
up.
kg cancels with its multiplicative inverse.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
So weight is equal to newtons.
So therefore, weight is measured in newtons.
So why dimension analysis? Why that?
Dimensional analysis. So that means you are analyzing whether the units are correctly placed or not. So my answer for weight comes out in newtons. Weight's units should come out in Newton. That comes out in newtons. Ruhani?
Yeah, sir. Like you said in grams, like 10 Newton per kg. And then few classes ago you said 1 Newton per 100 grams. So is that how they got 10 Newton?
No. That is obvious, isn't it? 100 grams is 1 Newton, therefore 1 kilogram will be 10 Newtons approximately.
Yeah, but there has to be some other explanation of how they got it, right?
So it comes from actually doing experiments, and when we study the second law, at that time you will understand why it is like this.
Oh, okay.
Here, last question.
Yeah. So it's a little unrelated. So, sir, I didn't understand exactly why like the Nelly. So the statement that we came to at Nelly Newton was wrong, or it like wasn't.
I was saying
accurate.
that we discussed that particular situation, and there was something that you should know before you come to the Nelly Newton situation to be able to understand it. I can explain it, but it will become a little confusing without the logical progression, without knowing the building blocks. So first, let us look at the building blocks of that, and then I will explain Nelly Newton situation and why the tensions on the ropes do not necessarily need to add up numerically to half of mg. The basic point is we were not looking at directions involved. So therefore, if you try to add up vector quantity force by just adding up the numerical part of it, we will go wrong. So that is why, but I will come to that a little bit later. That's what I had said. Okay. So shall I move on?
Sir, Adil is asking something. Adil is asking.
Who? Adil. Yes, Adil.
Actually, it was my brother. He is doing random things.
Sorry, I
He
couldn't.
keeps on unmuting me and saying random things.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Aren't 74 kgs and 740 newtons the same thing?
No, 74 kg represents the amount of mass. That means the amount of matter that is there in my body. But the weight is what I apply downward direction in Earth's gravity. That
On
is
the surface of Earth.
on the surface of the Earth. Yes. My mass will not change no matter where I go. but my weight will change depending upon the object's gravitational quantity, which can be different for different planets, which is different for different planets.
So over here, what are you using to calculate your mass?
Mr. Smarty Pants, yes, using gravity to calculate your mass, but there simply is no other way of doing that unless you want to count the number of molecules and atoms.
So it's relative to Earth.
No, it is not. How can you say that the mass of 74 kilograms is relative to the Earth? If that quantity represents the amount of matter that is there in your body, and you are taken intact and left on Pluto, would that change the amount of matter that is contained in your body?
No.
So then why would that be relative to Earth?
Sir, so only the weight change. No.
You are using Earth's gravity to calculate your mass.
You need some gravity to calculate your mass. Unless you want to count the number of particles.
Yeah.
Okay. We will look at different ways of finding out the mass of an object. I mean, you can also, like for example, find it out by the volume. But then you run into some difficulties doing that because we are not of uniform density. So each one of those has an issue. Each way of finding out your mass has some issue. But since most of us spend most of our time on Earth, we can say that this is a good way of figuring it out. Shall I move on now?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so like there are two extremes, right? On Earth and in space, right? So on Earth your weight is like more and in space it's less. So like in the middle, like if someone's skydiving or something, your weight will be less, right?
When you are skydiving, yes, your weight will. You don't even have to skydive. If you go on an elevator, your weight can increase or decrease.
Your mass won't increase or decrease, right?
No, mass should not increase or decrease. Not because of this reason, at least.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on, the point that I want to arrive is that your gravitational attraction, your weight because of this is clear. Now, like Yajju asked right at the beginning, but then if there is only one force acting on the object, then your sigma f is equal to 0 will not be true. Okay, so this doesn't seem to be true if you say there is only gravity acting on it. But then the fact is also evident that the object is not moving. So it is at its state of rest. And if Newton's first law is correct, if the inertia law is correct, then there must be an opposite and equal force acting on the object, or Newton is wrong. Okay? The chances are that Newton's first statement, at least as far as this situation is concerned, is not violated. So, therefore, it must be that the force that is acting is not evident to us, it is not visible to us. So, therefore, we have to ask what is the force that can be acting over there, which is not visible to us, or at least it's not apparent to us, which will be equal and opposite to the force mg. Okay, so is there any answer to that? Would anybody like to hazard a guess?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So like if you're falling down, only gravity is acting if you exclude the air resistance.
Yeah.
So it's like you are falling down, but then the ground is stopping you from falling down. So ground has to act the equal amount of force which gravity is acting to stop you.
Yeah, so we can then therefore say that the ground is something that is providing an upward force, because for after all, if the ground is not there, then the object will fall, right? If I take an object and I leave it suspended in the air, then it will fall. If it comes to rest on the surface, that means that the surface is the one that has stopped it, because it can. So there must be lots of forces, tiny forces, that are acting on the bottom surface of that object, and therefore keeping it propped up.
Sir, if there are if these tiny forces weren't there, then the object would go straight to the core, right? Because
Exactly. Correct. That's right.
So that is called support force, right?
That is what we are looking at. So unknown to us or invisible to us, there must be these tiny little forces that are acting on the surface of the object from the ground upwards. Okay, and because these forces are all vectors, we can add them up, and we say that therefore there is a force which is also acting on the body. It's equal in magnitude to the weight of the body, but it is acting in the upward direction. And that force is what we call as the support force. At least this textbook calls it the support force. And it's easy to see that the support force is basically the support that is provided by the ground. Now we can say, now I remove these tiny forces because I have added them all up to make one force. Now that support force, if you take that also into consideration, then we can say that, so the support force and the mg cancel each other out. Therefore, sigma f is equal to
this object is in equilibrium.
And therefore, object is in equilibrium. Now, any questions? Who would like to ask questions? I heard 2-3 voices, so I better write down the names again. Name?
Sir, Hiya.
Sorry, I couldn't catch.
Sir, Hiya.
Yeah.
So even I had Anavi.
Okay. Anadya, did Ananya also want to ask something? Or Anavi?
Anavi.
Yes.
Shita also.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm looking at Anavi, Ishan, Yaju.
Sir, Shrihita.
No. I'm not there.
Okay.
So even I'm not.
Put your hand up so I can see it in the participants list. Okay, I can see 4 names. Yeah, go ahead.
Even Shrihita wants to say something, I think.
Who?
Shrihita.
Shrihita. Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to ask a question. I
Sir,
raised
even
my
I
hand
have a
previously.
question.
Who is I?
Pratham.
Even Ishan did want to ask a question.
No, sir, that's Pratham.
Pratham. Okay, so let us go with it. CreateNet Siam has entered the waiting room. Whoa, there's somebody in the waiting room who doesn't belong there.
What's the name?
It says CreateNet. I'm removing them.
Sir, I think Prakriti also wanted to ask a question.
It's okay, let's go with this list and then we will see if there are more questions I will add. Here.
Yeah, so without support force, nothing would exist, right? Because
Why? No, let me develop the idea of the support force. Okay. So why does the support force have to be equal to mg? What if the support force is less than mg? Well, let's get the absurd situation. What if the support force is more than mg? So if the support force is greater than mg, okay,
then we would be floating.
Then
it would go up.
Not
That's
just
what happens in water. You float.
objects will start moving in the upward direction. Okay, so you will see random objects starting to rise up in the air. That doesn't happen, right? We don't see that happening. So therefore the support force can't be greater than mg. And what if support force were smaller than mg? In this situation, of course, if the support force were lesser than mg, then objects would start sinking into the ground.
Yeah.
That can happen, like say for example, if somebody wanted to walk on water, you heard the story of Jesus Christ and you think you can walk on water, you step on the surface of water, water cannot provide you the support force required, so therefore you will go into the water. But the reverse situation, something that causes it to move in the upward direction, that of course is rare. It can happen, but it's rare. We will come to that by and by. So do you understand why the support force has to be equal? And of course, if you place an object with a greater mass and therefore a greater weight, the support force will be equal to that object. If it is not, then it will sink. Think of quicksand. Okay, Hia, so did that kind of answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yeah, also with another question is that support force doesn't only exist on Earth, right?
Yeah, anywhere there is a rigid surface, support force exists.
Yeah, so my
gravity is necessary.
My initial question was that without support force, nothing would be how it is currently, right?
Support force?
Outside, I'm saying without support force, nothing would be how it is currently, like outside Earth also.
For the time being, don't think of outside the Earth. Think of on Earth's gravitation, in Earth's gravitational pull. Okay, Anadya.
Yeah, sir. So when we're talking about support force, so you're saying that everything like my pen or my notebook or my table, so everything has a support force, right?
That's a support force, yes.
Yeah, but so the material of the thing also matters, right? Let's say I have paper, I have a sheet of paper and I have to put something like a heavy box on it, the paper would tear. That means the support force is lesser.
Yeah, it won't work. So I try to keep it on this piece of paper because this paper can't provide sufficient support force for that object. So therefore, mg is greater than support force, so it goes down.
And I have another question also.
Let's just take one question per head because we have only 4 more minutes. Everybody should get a chance. Anyway, we'll discuss a little bit afterwards also. Anavi.
Can you just explain what is support force again? I got disconnected.
Support force is the force that is provided by any rigid surface to an object which is placed on it. The support force is opposite in direction and equal in magnitude to the gravitational pull. If it were not so, then it will sink in. So that is basically what support force is.
Sir, I got disconnected while asking a question. So can I complete my question?
Yeah. Who's that?
Ruhani.
You want to ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. After Pratham and then Srihita.
Sir, so
Pratham.
does that...
Yeah. So, sir, my question is very wild. So, what if gravity is 3 newtons, support force is 5 newtons, and then there's one force acting to the left and it's 2 newtons, and then there's one force acting to the right which is 4 newtons?
I will teach you how to resolve those kinds of situations also. It can be done. What you have to do is you have to find out what is the net force in this direction, and then you have to find out what is the net force in this direction. So you will be left with 2 forces, one in this direction and one in this direction. Once you have done that, then I can tell. Then there is one more thing that I will teach you how to do that. Then you can get the resultant force.
Oh, that's like the first case which you showed us last class.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Srita.
Yeah. So I didn't have a question, but I just want to clarify one thing. That support force, if the support force is higher, then what will happen?
If the support force is higher than gravity.
Yeah.
If the support force is gravity, it's a weird situation. That means that there will be a net force acting in the upward direction. And if there is a net force acting in the upward direction, then sigma f is not equal to 0. That means the object has to move in the upward direction, which is something that usually does not happen.
It happens to objects that float in water, right? It happens to objects that float in water, right?
Yeah, that is a case. It's called buoyancy.
But isn't that, yeah.
1 second. Is Anavi here? Anavi? No, she got locked out.
So,
yeah. So finally, the last Ruhani, I think.
Yeah. Sir, so while you're on the trampoline, is the support force more or the gravitational force more? Because it's definitely not the same because you bounce up.
Yeah. So when you're above the trampoline, that means you're falling down. Then the gravity is greater than the support force. Then the support force increases as you stretch the trampoline when you go downwards. Okay. And then the support force becomes equal. But then something weird happens. The trampoline has gained some elastic potential energy. So the elastic potential energy then increases the support force. So you start moving in the upward direction. So a trampoline is kind of quite a complicated situation as far as what we are looking at. But you can say that in the case of a trampoline, when somebody is playing on a trampoline, the mg and the support force in turns increase and decrease. Of course, mg can't increase or decrease. Mg remains the same, whatever height you are at on the trampoline. The support force changes.
And the gravity.
Yeah. So, okay, it's time now, so you can leave.